400 Willard Street, North Little Rock, Arkansas, 72114. Due to the COVID-19 pandemic, the meeting will be held via Zoom video conference for participants. Viewers will be able to watch VA North Rock Facebook page live stream. And good evening to everyone. Thursday, June 25th, 2020, 5:30 p.m., I officially call the meeting to order. Ms. Colquitt, would you please call the roll?
Sandy Campbell.
Here.
Elizabeth Huggins.
Here.
Rochelle Redis. Tracy Steele. Cindy Temple. Natalie Markham.
Here.
Dorothy Williams.
Here. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. The purpose of our meeting is just a summation of what Dr. Davis and Mr. Ray and Associates will present to the board this evening. So please be attentive. You received all of your information. And while he is speaking, please note that if you have a question, you can ask them at that time. And Mr. Ray is on at this time. At this time, Dr. Davis or Mr. Ray, you may proceed with the presentation.
Okay, well, I want to say thank you all for being here tonight. We've got an agenda that we sent, and there's a couple of things I want to add to the agenda, and if we could do that before we get into our presentation, that might be very helpful to everyone. With that agenda, we're going to add proposed salary as number 5, and I'm sorry, number 6. We're going to need to speak about that tonight, in addition to the other things that we have listed. Ryan, did you see anything else that you want to add to the agenda at this time?
No, not at all, Carl.
Okay, all right. First of all, again, I want to say thank you all for allowing us to have an opportunity to meet with all of you all as board members. I have met with all 7 board members, and I do appreciate that. Probably what we need to look at right now is the timeline too, and just check where we are on the timeline. If you could pull that timeline up or look at the timeline, I want to look at one section of the timeline where we are tonight. And that's 6/23 to 2020 section. It says promotional flyer draft due. And in your packet, you should have seen or visit with the flyer that we have in that packet of information. Tonight, we're going to need the board to approve that flyer so we can get it out to our over 120 consultants, plus put it on Education Week and AASA and the other places that you all said that you wanted it to be placed. We'd like to get that done tonight. The promotional flyer, I hope you looked at it. And if you have any suggestions about that before we leave, that is on the agenda, let us know. But you can look at the dates, the dates of the 24th. And we're going to email it out tomorrow, which would be actually the 26th. So we're a couple of days behind. But it's not going to affect the search, and it's not going to affect anything. I just wanted to bring that to your attention. They are going to be sent out tomorrow rather than the 24th. But that is something that I wanted to share.
Okay.
And then, of course, we won't really meet again until 7/24, after 7/24, which will be the deadline for all the applications to be turned in. But we're only looking at about 2 days that we actually didn't have in the search.
We actually, Carl, we won't actually meet with them until 8/3 when we present the candidates.
Okay. Yeah, that's what we'll meet with you. But the application have to be turned in. The deadline is the 24th. We're going to still leave that the same.
Correct.
Okay. At this time, I want to go back to and talk a little bit about what we heard or what I heard and what I shared with everyone in our company about the school district and the school board. Again, I'd like to say, this is on the agenda, again, I would like to say thank you guys for allowing us to be able to hear and listen to what you're looking for in the next superintendent. I met with all board members, and board members, thank you for sharing and for giving us an opportunity to meet with your community. I have to say the community was very, very good also. We had about 12 hours of Zoom, and we had right under 200 people to chime in and to make comments. And I have a lot of notes, and I took the notes and compiled the notes and sent them out to the office there in Iowa, and they're going to send them out to over our 120 something consultants. We feel like we have a great understanding of what you all are looking for in your next superintendent. As I told the group, I said, it is because of the board that we were able to do this. Y'all made it very clear to us that you wanted to hear from the community, and they came aboard and they shared the qualities. We got over 800, almost 900 people to share into the qualities that we were, the survey that we were looking for. That's a high number for the size of your district and the size of the community. That is just tops. We want to say thank you to the community for being a part of this. I've worked in district, and I know Ryan has too, that the board would say sometimes we don't want to hear anything from the community. We're the ones that's going to make the decision. You all didn't do that. Y'all did not do that. And they all said, we want to hear from the community. And man, we heard from the community. And again, thank you, community, and thank you for letting us hear that. That's going to help us in matching and looking and recruiting.
I will also say, Carl, one other thing I'll say so they understand. I have had districts of over 100,000 kids not have that many survey results. So you should be very, very proud of yourselves. What Carl's going to do right now, he mentioned actually he's compiled all those notes, and he has a couple bullet points that he wants to go ahead and discuss, and let you know about basically what his things that he took away from those meetings.
I asked everybody the same question, the board and the community. And the first question was basically, what do you see as the strength of the school district? And I heard things like diversity. I mean, diversity was it just came out as a strength of the school district. I heard things like the schools are generational schools. Like people, when they go to school here, they send the children there, and the children stay there, and that is a big plus. I heard things like the COE program at the high school, the arts and the band and the football team. They were all great comments to make. And the new schools came up a lot. Positive things from the community, the support you all are getting from the community, from the hospitals, from the churches, from the various organizations. That small town environment came out, a very peaceful environment, a place that's welcoming. And then you talked about your outdoors, your parks, the trails, the fishing and the hunting. Then I asked about, well, what qualities are you looking for in the superintendent? Transparency came. Somebody that can work with the school board and bring the school board together as a group. Somebody that we can all talk to, a visionary person. Someone, if they could speak Spanish, that'll be great, but it's not necessary. We had a separate session with the Latino community, and they shared really a lot also. Someone who listens, someone who's equitable. And some of the issues, keeping our kids in the public schools and not losing them to the charter schools and to the private schools. They mentioned the virus. What are we going to do this year? How are we going to handle school? Those were issues. Someone, as I stated earlier, that could bring the board together as a single unit and we can move ahead. Someone who's going to stay in the district. They want somebody that's going to come and move to the community and be a part of the community for a long period of time. And then finally, someone that can build good relationship between the school board, the community, the staff, and all of the stakeholders. Basically, those are the type of things that we heard. Of course, I had 12 hours and I had like pages and pages and pages of information. And as I said earlier, I took that information, I sent it to the office, and now we're going to send it out and to everybody that we have our consultants, we realize that everybody is not going to be looking for a job. Okay, we know that. So our consultant will individually find people that will meet the criteria that that we sent them, or we will send to them, or we're looking for what y'all are looking for. And that's it, Ryan.
Dr. Davis,
Yes.
I would like to commend the community for their support. I read everything that they said, and I was so impressed by our youth, our students in the North Rock School District, that they were so profound that they felt that this is a good district, and that if we come together in unity, that it's no telling where we could be. But I did read everything, and I appreciate everything that you did. You did a phenomenal job. And from every aspect, I know we had criticism, but it's all right because there were constructive criticism to things that the board could move forward on. And so again, I read every piece, and you didn't, and you're grammatically correct. You did an awesome job, and thank you.
You know, I want to throw in one last thing. You know, I asked some tough questions. And one of the questions I asked, what are you looking for? You're looking for a male or a female, black or white? I asked those questions, and overall, it didn't matter. The overall answer to every one of those said, your community said it doesn't matter if they're black or white, as long as they're the best. It doesn't matter if it's a male or a female, as long as it's the best person. And I thought that was really, really great to hear. And I want to commend the community on looking for the best person for the job. And that's what we're going to do, is go out there and search and look and hunt. And we're going to find the best people to put before the board, so the board will have a tough decision. And the decision that they make will be the best for the school district, because we're going to bring you great candidates. Thank you again, school board. Ryan?
Yeah, so the next thing that we kind of really want to get into are the survey results. So you have a couple sheets that look like grids. And if you want to pull those out, the first one I want you to look at, and we're just going to kind of brief over it, because the other one is the real important one. So pull up the one where it says raw score sheet. Y'all have that?
Page 6.
Yep.
Yeah.
So this is, if you look at the qualities desired on the left-hand side, you can see that at the top, teachers were the first ones that we looked at, and they had 228 participants in this. Do you all see where that is? Okay, great. So if we look, teachers, if you look below on number 1, they raw out of 228, 108 actually wanted number 1 as their top 10. So that ranked out to be number 8 overall for that group. And if you go down to number 2, you'll see 131 picked number 2, which for that ranked group out of teachers ranked out number 4. And so that's kind of how it works. You can see across the board, the administrators, 29 of them took the survey. And if you look at what they ranked number 1, they only scored, well, actually they scored at 19, which made number 1 for them rank number 3 for that group, and so on and so on. And if I kind of look at the Board of Education for that same thing on question number 1, all the way across, you'll see that only 6 board members took it, but the raw score for number 1 was 2. So only 2 people necessarily wanted that, and it came out to rank number 11. So the reason why we show you these ranked raw score sheets is because one group is not going to take over and dominate another group. So for example, the teachers had 228 people taking this survey, but the board only had 6 people taking the survey. So the teachers couldn't outweigh the board of directors, the board of education, or the administrators, or any other group that was smaller. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay, so now we did all the the mathematics. And if you want to look at that other grid, it says consultant ranking recommendation sheet. So if we look at this, it says number 1 for the teachers, it ranked number 8. And if you look at administration, the ranking for willing to listen to input, but is a decision maker, ranked number 3 for administrators.
Ryan, may I interrupt you for a minute?
Yeah, go ahead.
Rhonda, can Rhonda show that that paper, the report that you show on the screen? Because I had someone that asked if the community could see what we're reading. I'm not sure if Rhonda is here tonight. I haven't spoken.
No, I don't see her on as far as
okay.
people that are on this call.
Okay.
But this is public records. We can go ahead and make this available for everybody.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Yeah. So this is kind of how it shows for all of the 33 qualities desired. It can be, you can see how the teachers ranked it, the administrators, the support staff, the partners, et cetera, et cetera. So what I want you to kind of focus on is the combined rank there. So if you look at the consultant recommendation, the board, let's see, number 1 ranked out number 6 overall. Number 2 ranked out 2nd overall. So we recommended number 2, which has leadership skills to respond to opportunities and challenges of ethnic and cultural diversity. So that was very important, and it ranked out number 2 for everybody in the community that took this survey, as well as the board. So we recommend that. We also recommend number 5, which ranked out the number 1 thing that everybody wanted, which was inspires trust, self-confidence, and models high standards. So we also recommended that one. We're also recommending number 4 that came out, or I'm sorry, number 6 that ranked out number 4, which is strong communicator, speaking, listening, and writing. We're also recommending number 8, which came out 9 on the survey, and it says has experience recruiting and maintaining exceptional staff for the district and schools. We're also recommending 13, which ranked out number 8, possesses excellent people skills and presents positive district image. We're going to combine that with number 1, which is willing to listen to input, but is a decision maker. So we combined those 2. We're also recommending number 15, which ranked out number 5, which is strongly committed to student first philosophy in all decisions. We're also recommending number, 20, which ranked out 10th, which is promote positive and safe student behavior. We're also recommending number 30, which ranked out 2nd, which is promotes a positive and professional environment for district employees and board. And we're also recommending number 31, which ranked out 7th, which is commitment to and experience dealing with all genders, race, socioeconomic groups. Now, with that being said, we're also recommending number 22, which the board ranked 3rd on their list. So the board thought very highly of this, which is ability to identify, select administrators capable of advancing district vision. We're also recommending number 18, which the board also had a tie ranking for 3rd, which is experience in selection and implementation of educational priorities. So you can see our consultant recommendations based on the survey results and all the tallies of the teachers, administrators, support staff, parents, students, and Board of Education. So we want you to kind of think about that. If you're okay with those recommendations, that would be wonderful. We could stamp it and it would actually go into the flyer tomorrow morning and before we send it out to our constituent groups. And I also want to go ahead and say thank you to some students. So there were 87 students that took this survey. So thank you, students, for participating in this. It means a lot to us. So thank you. Madam Chair.
But now in their packet, they should have a section that says what we recommend, what you just went through in
Correct.
writing. Okay. And if you want to refer back to those 12 items that he mentioned, you can see it in your packet under what we recommend. It's in writing. And those are the ones that we're going to look at tonight to have you all to approve for the flyer. Oh, you want to finish that?
Well,
Right.
he has it up. No, you can go ahead, Carl. That's fine.
Okay, and if you look at the writing, what Ryan just went over in your packet, there should be a section that says North Little Rock School District seeks a superintendent who we recommend these 12 items. Possesses excellent school, people skills, present a positive image, that one. I don't know if you're looking at that, if you see that, that's what we need for you all to read again and make sure it is actually saying what you want it to say. And if so, if we could get a vote, Madam Chair, to approve those, we'll go ahead on and finalize that tonight. And that way in the morning, we can go ahead and place it on the flyer and get the flyer out. But this is what would be on your flyer.
Okay, the information that Dr. Davis is talking about is on page 30. Page 30. And if you can bring that up, Brian, page 30. You've gone to Dr. McGee's presentation. Page 30. And what he is actually forestating is that if you would like to add something perhaps that was left off,
Exactly.
that can be included in this.
Correct.
Brian, I have it up so that you can see it in the event you don't have your packet with it.
It should be a section that says what we recommend.
Okay, North Little Rock School District seeks a superintendent who.
Right.
It's recommend page 30, Brian. You're on 31, you're almost there.
Apologies, the number for the PDF is different for the number for their
Oh,
packet.
okay. Yeah. All right. You're almost there, 21. Those are public comments from everyone.
All right, here we go.
Well, that's the actual flyer.
Yes.
Get to that in a few minutes.
All right.
There we go. That's it right there.
Okay.
Right there. 30.
Oh, no, you skipped.
Come down.
Oh.
Nope.
That's
No, you might want to go up. There it is.
a little bit down. Yeah.
Yes.
So yes, those are the recommendations and the combinations of what we recommend to you. You will notice that there is a number 20 that we have a consider for you to think about, which is promote positive and safe student behavior. We just felt that in today's society that, you know, that is absolutely important. And it ranked out 10.
Promote positive and safe student behavior.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, board members, in looking at this, what they need is a recommendation if you would like to add to it, or you agree. Did you see anything on page 7 that you would like to see added to this recommendation? I'll call the roll. Ms. Campbell? Okay. Ms. Huggins, I'm sorry.
I'm happy with it. I think it's a good a compilation of all of the different input that was received.
Okay. Dr. Redis? Not on. Tracy Steele? Not on. Ms. Temple? Cindy Temple? You're on your iPhone. She was there a few minutes ago. Ms. Walker?
I have no issues with this. I think it looks great.
Okay. Dorothy Williams? I agree. So what is the general consensus, Ms. Copeland? It's good. Okay. I want to make sure now we have Ms. Campbell, Ms. Higgins, Walker, and myself, so that substitute a quorum. All right. Thank you. So that's good to go, Dr. Davis.
Okay, all right, well, we appreciate that.
Now we want you to look at the flyer.
Okay.
Now, remember this flyer, it was created, we helped to create it, but the information came from your district. And I'm not exactly sure who helped Molly with this from the district, but we want to say thank you to that person. When I looked at it, I was really impressed with it. Okay, and now I don't know what everybody else's ideal about it, but it really catches your attention, and it's good information. It talks about the community, and of course, those items that we just talked about and you just approved for us will be on the front of it also. It will be shipped out to every place that we will send it, and we'll look at those items to help us recruit.
And not only that, if we go to state conventions, national conventions, any convention that we're going to be at during this recruiting period, we will have copies of this, and we will be talking to prospective applicants.
Okay. So this is the segment, the other part, board members. What do we value in a superintendent? And basically, it's the same thing from the consult rating. Did you add in it? Would something have to be added to this, Dr. Davis?
No, it would be fine just like that if the board, approved the other. It's really the same thing. We just put it on there so you all can see how it would look. And if we were going to add anything, we could add it tomorrow to it. But this, if you don't want to add anything, this is exactly how it would look, minus the proposed salary. We don't have that on there. Everything else is pretty much on it.
Okay. Board members, Ms. Campbell?
It looks good to me.
Okay. Ms. Huggins?
Looks great.
Okay. Ms. Temple? Okay.
It's not on.
Ms. Walker?
Looks great. I enjoy it.
Okay. Dorothy Williams? I'm good. Okay. That is.
Okay, well, we'll get this out tomorrow, and we'll send it to Education Week, AASA. That's where the superintendent generally look. And as I said earlier, not every superintendent is looking for a job, but we also send it to our 120 something consultants across the country to see if they can recruit or that they know anyone also. And then of course we'll do other things with it. But this is what we will use to represent the North Little Rock School District. And
It also, Carl, will, if somebody goes to our website and clicks on North Little Rock School District to apply, they'll be able to download that flyer and print it off at home.
Okay.
And is the application online yet?
Let's see
Or
here.
will it be online?
No. No, so application will go online tomorrow as well, my understanding.
So if you have anyone else that you have not recommended, and I did get some recommendations, I will call those individuals probably next week. I was waiting for the application to get approved and get online, and plus the flyer. But if you have someone else that you believe that you want to recommend, you can also call them and tell them what we just said, that the application is online and the flyer is online, and feel free to apply. But if they need to speak to me, if they want to speak to me, all right, you have my number. You can feel free to give my number to anyone that you may
Dr.
think.
Davis,
Mhm.
I would like to make a correction, please. We agreed to this, to the recommendations that you had. I really polled the board that I did not officially vote. So at this time, I need a board member to put it to a motion that we accept the recommendation from your company on the seeking a superintendent. May I have a motion from a board member, please?
Madam President,
Yes.
I'd like to make a motion to accept the recommendation that Ray and Associates have brought forth to the North Little Rock School Board.
Second.
It has been moved and properly second that we accept the recommendation from Ray and Company. At this time, we need a second motion for the flyer. May I have a motion, please?
Madam President,
Yes.
I'd like to make a motion to accept the flyer that Ray and Associates has developed for the North Little Rock School District.
May I have
Second.
a second? It has been moved and properly second that we accept the two recommendations. Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
The motion is carried. Thank you, Dr. Davis.
Yes, yeah, thank you. Okay, Ryan, I think we're now at the section that talks about the proposed salary. Do you have anything else that you wanted to say, Ryan?
No, I'm glad that the board has accepted those two things so we can move on with the flyer and whatnot. But no, Carl, go ahead.
It'll go live tomorrow.
Yes.
Okay.
So when I spoke to each, oh, I'm sorry.
No, I was going to say, Dr. Davis, our CFO had recommended, but it's up to the board decision as to if they want to accept that, move it up or down. And once you have explained what you need to say, I will poll each board member, okay?
Okay. All right. If you remember, when I spoke to each board member, I shared with you all that we have to look at a salary, and that part of our process was to do a survey, sharing with you all the salaries of the districts in Arkansas, similar to you all size, and what their superintendent are making. And that we also did the search in Pulaski County, and what we're gonna recommend is right about what his district or what he's getting paid in Pulaski County. But, and what we're recommending is, based on the research that we put together, we're recommending 100, I'm not sure exactly. I'm reading a note that Ms. Higgins, did you have something that you wanted to?
What she did, Carl, is she said that you can stop sharing the screen now.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. I didn't know if you wanted me to explain.
So that's great.
Okay, but now when we talked about it, we're talking about based on the research that we put together and the fact that we had some conversation. We're talking in the range of 215,000 is what we're looking at. Now, the reason for that is that the family, the person that you all select, got to move to the district, got to leave their job, and then they've got to be a part of the community. They're going to have some extra bills and extra things that they got to deal with, and that is what we're recommending. And I'd like to hear what the board is saying about the recommendation of 215,000. Now, what I told you guys is that we're talking about in the range of, if you got a superintendent that's got everything together and got years of experience, and you all want that superintendent, you can offer them the 215, period, the total. But if you find an up-and-coming superintendent, somebody who hasn't been a superintendent yet, but you all think that's super and good, you can offer those individuals maybe 210.
Yeah, so what we do is we place it, the salary will be in the range of one number. That's it, 215. And that way, if you find somebody that's an assistant superintendent, maybe you can give them 210, like Carl said. You find that rock star that maybe is in another cert, you can maybe go up to 220. So that's why we do that. But yeah, we think that number is fair. You know, looking at across the board around Arkansas as well as the country. And you know what? You have to put a little bait on the hook. You know, you want to make sure that you have enough incentive there that somebody stays and doesn't, you know, job hop in 2 years for another higher salary. So I think you have enough on the hook there to hook somebody very, very good.
And
Dr.
you have
Davis?
flexibility. Yes.
What I would like to first read to the board, and it's their decision if they want to sweeten the pot, and they have in whatever amount they say, and if it's different from what you're saying, we will vote on it individually, and the majority will rule on that salary. But
Yes.
I would like to say, board members, Brian Brown, he only recommended between 175 and 185. He said higher salaries could be paid, but would require HR and finance to find ways to reduce other expenditures to offset the increased expenditures, which may include absorbing positions where possible through arbitration as they become vacant. Now, board members, it's up to us aside, and you realize you have people with doctorate degrees, and whatever you say, we're going to listen to each other and be objective about it and what can our district afford. Because as you recall now, the 185 was when Rogers was here, and Mr. Ackland, when he was making 175, he had insurance. So therefore, that's why he did not receive that salary, is my understanding. So I'm saying to you is, we at this time, what is your consideration? I call the roll. Ms. Campbell?
I'd say 185.
Okay. Ms. Huggins?
So when we're talking 185 or 215, is that including benefits or is that before benefits?
That's base salary.
Okay.
I'm sorry. Brian, if you're on here, would you explain that process? I know Norfolk give the best benefits anywhere. Would you explain about that process, that benefits are included in that?
No, ma'am. The 175 to 185 range that we had, that I had recommended to the board is the base salary. That is, benefits are above and beyond that. So again, for superintendent, that is something that can be negotiated. But health insurance is considerations, car allowance is another. So we're talking about base salary. My recommendation was 175 to 185. And then you could also look at the benefits that would go along with that.
Okay. So what is the average price of benefits going along with that? Because I know we pay dental, health, everything.
We do pay dental. We pay for employees. We pay $239.78 per month on health insurance. For superintendents in the past, we've given a car allowance, travel stipend each month. So it all depends on what the board would like to do, but you could advertise the salary as a base salary plus additional benefits, and that could be something that you negotiate with your person you're offering the job to.
Oh, because see what I'm saying is, I'm just looking at the 85 you're saying, but you're saying there's more money that's involved, but it's a negotiation process. I let each board member have the
And
Ms. Huggins,
And Ms. Williams, we have paid those additional benefits to the other superintendents that have been employed here. So there are for instance, there is Social Security matching tax that we pay on behalf of the employee, a Medicare matching payroll tax. We also pay Arkansas teacher retirement behalf of the employee at 14.5%. So all of the other superintendents have had those benefits. We would continue those benefits with the current superintendent, but the question that was asked is the salary range does not include the benefits that we're talking about. So the range would be 175 to 185 plus additional benefits.
Okay, Ms. Temple?
Okay, thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, I'm sorry. Mr. Steele, I see you. I'm sorry.
Oh, no, ma'am, no problem. I apologize about being late. Is it any way that Brian can tell us the total amount package included? I would opt to about 175, but it seems like with all the other benefits, the total package could be higher than that. And I would say 175. At least that gives some negotiating room. But anywhere in that number, I'd be okay with. But can we find out what the total package would be?
Brian? Brian, would you get that information for?
So
It doesn't have to be tonight.
Are you requesting like the the taxes that I just, the total cost including benefits? Is that what you're speaking of? So what I would need to know is if you're considering keeping the benefits for a new superintendent as we've done for prior superintendents, like the car allowance, are you wanting me to calculate that at the same rate?
Mm-hmm.
If so, I can provide that to you. That's not a problem.
Yeah, you could just estimate it. Then whatever amount we come up with, we can say the total package would be maybe closer to 200, but the base salary would be whatever the board decides on, but
okay,
less than the 200.
Madam Chair, if I could go ahead. Just a thought process. Again, I sincerely do not want you to be a training ground where, somebody comes in and is there for a year or two, maybe, and then jumps ship to go and get more money somewhere else. So as your consultant, you want our opinion, and, just for a fact right here, you as a district have somewhere in the range of in and around 9,400 kids or 9,400 kids, right? Is that correct? And we're talking about paying 175 base salary. So when I look at some of your competition, now think about this. This is your competition. There's a district in the state of Iowa of 4,500 kids, and they're paying 210,000 right now. And that's half of what enrollment size you are. So when we're looking, and a superintendent is looking, and they say, I can have a higher salary for an enrollment of less kids and less worries and less work and problems, they may go to that other district. So as your consultant, and Dr. Carl Davis, you can jump in here as well, I think that you need to know that there are districts out there that are smaller with less problems or opportunities that are paying more money. So I think you need to know that. Carl, anything?
And I think the thing that what Ryan is saying, you want somebody that want to look at this as an opportunity to move here and to stay there and have a salary that they can work with and live with. And Brian, I do appreciate the fact that you're going to look at the total package, because as Tracy said, Mr. Steele said, that will mean a lot too if we can kind of get a baseball park figure of what that total package would be. We can look at the salary again maybe and say to them, look, if you want to come to Arkansas, the total package, the base salary is going to be this, but the total package will include these things. That
Right.
would help.
And Carl, one thing though, that in that other example that I gave of a district with 4,700 kids making 210, that's a base salary of 210 plus in the compensation. It says the salary will be in the range of 210,000 plus, including an excellent benefit package. And the final salary for the successful candidate will be determined based upon proven experience, qualifications, and meeting governing body criteria. So that's on top of that 210.
Okay, Ms. Temple? She's having a problem? Okay.
Madam President, can I have a follow-up question to the consultant?
Please do that.
Thank you. One of the things that you all will find in North Little Rock, one, it's a wonderful place to live. So when they come here and they experience North Little Rock, they're not going to want to leave. But the other thing, did you take into account the cost of living? Because the cost of living in North Little Rock, Arkansas, as well, is much lower than other places like Iowa, more metropolitan cities. Housing is more reasonable. Just a total cost of living across the board is one of the lowest cost of livings in the United States. And that's something I want you guys to look at, and that's something that you could also sell, and they will see that when they start to look at housing.
Yes, sir, we did.
We hire somebody that's already here and already has a house.
Yes, sir, we did. And in fact, being from Iowa, it's no California or New York. The cost of living in the state of Iowa is also very cheap. I just pulled up another one that we just closed, Bettendorf, Iowa. Enrollment 4,600, and they're paying 190,000.
I would like to ask you a question then, Mr. Ray.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, I got you correct. Mr. Ray, you have to look at our base of what our finances come in North Little Rock.
Mm-hmm.
What is our base that we get money from, Brian? That's what, if we're not in a city where we have a habit tax base that money's coming into us. Brian, would you explain that, please?
Yes, ma'am. Our annual revenue is around $90 million.
Mm-hmm.
We do have around 8,000 students. We have been experiencing a decline in enrollment. That's where my recommendation came from, was over the past 10 years, we've paid from anywhere from 150,000 up to 185,000. That's been the most we paid in the past decade, is 185,000. But so what we have to do is look at ways to keep our expenses in check with our declining revenue and declining student enrollment. Now, if the board elects to pay more, I told Ms. Williams, that's exactly what we'll do. We will follow through with that. We will just have to look for ways where we can trim expenses in another way or another fashion. That may be reducing some contracted services, that may be reducing personnel in other areas through attrition. We just have to look for ways to absorb that. But if you spend more and your revenue's declining, you've got to make adjustments. So
yes,
that's sort of the reality of where we are at this point, is we're looking for ways to keep our expenses in check with our declining revenue.
I appreciate that.
Please.
Yeah.
What I would like to say, since that question was answered, and thank you, Mr. Brown, I would like to go to the next board recommendation. Mr. Brown had recommended 185,000, and with that, with the benefits understanding, that would boost it, sound like 195, like $10,000 more dollars. So we can board whichever way, but at this time, Ms. Walker, Ms. Temple, she was having problems.
No, I think you can hear me now. Can you hear me now?
Yes, thank you.
Thank you, thanks. Okay, great. Well, I don't think we need to factor in benefits because the benefits are gonna, I mean, like what you pay on Social Security and stuff, that's a given on every employee. But I think what we need to think about, and I realize we do have tight financial conditions that we need to consider, but we also have financial opportunities that we could cut and trim. And we've been through this now twice with the, we need a great superintendent. And I think it'd be worth the extra money to get somebody in here who fits those goals that we're looking for. I hate to, we don't have to pay somebody that much. If somebody isn't that, we don't feel like they're up to that level, we don't have to pay that. But if someone comes along and that's what it will take to get them, I hate to cut it off. I mean,
What's your recommendation?
I say we go with who we've hired. They've recommended 215. I think we take the recommendation.
And what was that number?
And if we could get it closer to 200, that would be fine, to plus the package.
Yeah, if we wanted to go ahead and say 200, you know, that extra 15.
That would be perfect. I mean, that'd be a whole lot easier to find a good quality person as opposed to, you know, a lesser salary, because they've got to make some decisions about where they're working at right now. If they're working in a district, they've got to move. They've got all those extra expense coming. And of course, they've got to work when they get there, and they got to produce. And we want somebody that's good, not somebody that just say, okay, I'll accept that, but somebody who want to be there and somebody who will accept it. And if we can get close to the 200 as a base salary, that would be, in my opinion, the best that you all could do. And I think that would be fine.
Exactly. If you get somebody that knows how to maybe make a change here, maybe make a change here, that person might be able to save that $15,000 in the first couple months. Exactly. I mean, you know, and, you know, Ottumwa, Iowa is a declining enrollment. So I just, again, it's our job to go out and tell you, you don't want to be a training ground. But listen, it's the board's decision. Whatever the board wants, we'll roll with. But we, you know, we're looking out for your best interest here as well.
And we worked with the Pulaski School District Board to work out a salary that was pretty much in the same area, same community basically, that was around the 215 to 220. But I can see what you all are working with. If we can get it in the 200 bracket plus the benefits, I think we're good. I think we can really find somebody that would want to be with you all. It's just amazing with this business. And I hate to say this, and I apologize for saying this. In this business, like many other businesses, you get what you pay for. And if we want a good quality superintendent to be there, we're gonna need to be able to get a salary that they will want to be there, and will leave their job or their district and move to this community, this great community that you all have, and be your leader. And as Brian said, that person, if they're good enough, they'll be able to work. They'll understand finance, and they'll be able to work with Brian in looking at areas that you could make some changes or do some cuts or whatever in the long run.
Okay. Thank you, Dr. Davis. Now, right now, I have heard 2 185s from 2 board members. And then Mrs. Steele said 175. And then Ms. Walker.
I have a question. If we came in and offered 185 with the contingent that we can recoup the $600,000 that we've wasted from the last 18 months, is there a way that we can increase that yearly salary if we like what we see within the first 6 months? We'll make it a short contingent fee. Is that possible? I mean, everything's negotiable, right? Dr. Davis?
That would be challenging because they're going to want to know before they leave their other job what the salary range is going to be. I think that's an idea, but it's not going to really help the situation right now, so to speak, when we go out and start looking, because we're talking about something that could be, and they're going to want to have more definite.
Especially if, you know, they're looking at other jobs and other jobs aren't asking that. So
I get what both of you are saying.
I do appreciate you guys working with us on this. This is important, and I do thank you for working with us. And we're trying to work this out and continue. Let's continue to talk about it because that's how we'll get something accomplished. Ms. Williams?
Okay.
Well, I hear both of you, and I understand you get what you pay for. That's what's got us into this situation at hand. But with that being said, I don't want to put us further in the red as well. Due to the past, we have not been good stewards of our taxpayers' money. And again, it's why we're in this situation today. So with that being said, I'm just concerned with making a very healthy promise of a salary because we want the best, but we are not financially able to pay for the best at this moment. So that is a very grave concern of mine. But with someone that comes in and has the leadership and has some great qualities, maybe they'll be able to, you just said it, trim the fat, so to say. And if we trim the fat, then we'll be able to pay that. But in order to make that promise, I need to be able to see on paper that that's doable.
Okay. At this time, I'm sorry, Ms.
Madam
Temple.
President, Madam
Excuse me.
President. No, I just want to correct you. I said 175 up to 185, which I think was Mr. Brown's recommendation. That's where I am.
Okay then. And Ms. Temple, I'm sorry, I got the 185, 185. And what was you said you felt like it should be more?
Yes, I just want to make a point. Like, let's say we're going to buy a Jeep because we want to be able to go across country and across creeks and all that stuff. And so we're all excited about that. But we don't want to spend the money to put the right kind of tires on the vehicle to do what we want it to do. I mean, this is not a time to cheap out. Just because we say we can go that high doesn't mean that we're committed to going that high.
Exactly.
But we want to bring the best people in.
Exactly.
I mean, getting the best people in doesn't commit us to that price. But
Exactly.
we're baiting a hook and we're saying, come see us. And if that person comes in and, like they're telling us we're going to have a hard time picking, if that's the case, then,
You have a price. Did you have a price for that, Ms. Temple?
I want to go with their recommendation.
Okay, I hear you, Cindy, but here's my concern. I'm not going to buy that Jeep on a credit card. I want the money in the bank in order to make that payment. I'm sorry. I hear you. I'm frustrated as well. I have children in this district. I have foster kids in this district. I have nieces and nephews in this district. I want the best, and I'm frustrated sitting here. But we have to be able to make the payments. We have to be able to pay.
Excuse me. At this time, that was a very good statement, and she said that she would go with the 185. Brian, what we're missing, as forestated by Mr. Steele, I think the package deal, in that we're talking about 185, what kind of money are we overspending? No, I said, well, make it look something. I said, well, 195. Then whatever coming will be almost $200,000 if you added $10,000 to that. So, but anyway, before we move on that, and what was my statement, what I'm holding on, Mr. Brian, please understand me. If we got 185 up here, what additionally are we paying? Wasn't that your question, Mr. Steele? How much over?
Yes, ma'am.
Benefits.
What's the total package? Yes.
Total package. What is the total package? That way, that may help us. We want, he's doing it now, okay. So if we get that, we can still have questions, concerns. Ms. Campbell, do you still have a comment where Brian is working on a total package there? What we want to do, just doing things decent and in order, and what our finances are. We are in the pandemic. We've already got the communication of how many children are coming back who want to Zoom, and we have to look at all of this. And board members, if you were in the meeting yesterday with the Arkansas School Board Association, raises and money for next year, the Arkansas School Board Association, their representatives said, the big word we're gonna have to say is no. because no means we don't know where our finances are coming from and how many students we will have. And so Dr. Davis and Mr. Ray, whatever we as a board, we are here together and we will make a sound decision and we're going to vote on this. But I wanted to hear what Brian said as far as the total package is on that. And I think that that would maybe give us some insight. And Ms. Temple, gracious, I'm the same way. I want to pay some more, but I don't know where it's coming from. That's my fear. That is my only fear. And
I agree with you, Doc.
Russellville, and by the way, when you looked at that thing, Russellville is the only school district that is given $195 out of its base. The rest of the districts, surrounding districts, are paying $200,000 plus 45,000. And it's really competitive. And we're the only one. And right now, Russellville said, if you got that packet that Ms. Colquitt sent you, well, Dr. Davis gave it to us.
Right.
And everybody else is paying $200,000, but we have to live in our house to see what we can afford to pay.
Well, I do appreciate you guys working at this. This is not easy. But keep working, please. Keep working at it. I do appreciate it.
Uh-huh. Yes, we are.
Okay, Ms. Williams.
Right. Ms. Huggins, did you want to say something? Ms. Huggins?
You're on mute.
Yeah.
I can't hear
So I was only asking a question because I wasn't quite to my decision yet. Because like Tracy, I took the numbers of all the ones that they gave us and played around with them with cost of living and cost of housing and where the percentages of low income students were and budgets of the school districts. And I just played with a lot of numbers yesterday on this. And I mean, I understand staying within our budget, but I also understand that we need a quality candidate. And so I kind of push over towards where Cindy is too, where we have to invest the money in the person that we want to run our district. And so I'm not necessarily in favor of the 175 to 185 because I don't know that we're going to get that quality. But I also, on the other hand, understand the numbers piece of it. And that if we don't have the money to pay the bills, we don't have the money to pay the bills. And it doesn't matter how pretty of a Jeep you have parked in your garage if you can't pay for it.
That's true. Brian, did you have that for us?
Yes, ma'am. On a 185,000 base salary, the Arkansas teacher retirement contribution is 14.5%. That's $26,825 that would be contributed to teacher retirement on behalf of the superintendent's salary. Then if you continue the car allowance, that's been $400 a month.
Yes.
$4,800 total. The health insurance would be, health insurance and dental would be about $3,600 per year. So in terms of benefits, not counting the payroll matching taxes that we were discussing earlier, I just removed those based on what Ms. Temple said, is $35,253. That would be the benefits on 185,000.
Which give us a grand total of?
Hold on just a moment.
Because I didn't put it in my calculator.
Ms. Campbell?
What is it, honey?
That'd be with benefits, that's 220,253.
Okay.
Madam
Did all the
President?
board members hear that? I'm sorry, you coming in, Mr. Steele?
Yes, ma'am. I have a motion, but I don't want to make it unless you complete. But with that information, Mr. Brown, I would like to move, we go with the CEO's recommendation.
Okay, what is that? What is that? Is it 185?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, 185, and plus with the benefits, what was that total, Mr. Brown, so the board members can hear it?
220,253.
Okay.
Now, I would like to say this, Ms. Williams. I mean, you don't have to lock in to those benefits. If the board wants to negotiate $500 a month or $600 a month in car allowance, I base that on what we have been paying to the previous two superintendents.
Okay.
If you want to negotiate those benefits, you can do that. We'll do what the board decides on that. But I just wanted to know that, I mean, you're not locked in on that. You can adjust that if you deem it necessary.
Okay, board members, at this time, Mr. Steele, you put that in a motion, but first I want to make sure that all board members have their comments before we put it in the motion. Ms. Campbell, you still with the agreement?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Ms. Huggins?
In agreement with the 185?
Yes, plus the benefit package that was just presented to us.
I think we need to offer more.
Huh?
I think we need to offer more.
Okay, well, what is your price? Because then that way we'll vote on each price.
I would go for around 200.
200?
Yeah.
Okay, we have 185 and we have 200. Okay. Mr. Steele. Okay. He was for the 185 also. Mr. Steele?
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, I'm sorry, I keep skipping. No, I'm on right track. Mr. Steele, what was your agreement to what salary?
185.
185, okay. Ms. Temple?
I agree. I feel like we need to do more. We looked at this process. We saw what the offering got us last time. I think we need to offer more, and I could do 200. And I do have a question for Ryan or Carl.
Okay.
Is there a way to put in the brochure the total the total package, or does it need to be base?
We normally go ahead and what I read to you earlier, we said the base salary is boom, and then all of the bigger package, is also included in that. If you want, I can't remember ever doing it, but if you want us to go ahead and say the base salary is this, and the total compensation package of benefits will bring it to this, we can do that. I don't think we've ever done that before in 44 years.
But
But
now,
you can't do something new.
What Brian said, Brian made a statement, if the board decides to go with the same benefits, it would be that. If they decide to change the benefits or negotiate something different, that amount wouldn't be the same. That if we were to post the 220,000, that may be less or it may be more. I think that the base salary, it needs to be there, and then we'll say a package that's that's involved whatever total package, insurance and all the other things, and not list that amount because it may change.
Right. Well, then I'll go with 200.
Ms. Temple, okay.
200.
Okay, Ms. Walker?
Brian, you and I, let's talk.
Yes.
Can we pay 200,000? Can we make that G payment and the mortgage payment and keep the electricity on?
Well, I'll say this. What we're talking about is the difference of $15,000. And if that's where we are, if $15,000 is keeping the board from coming to an agreement, we can make $15,000 work.
That's great.
If you all decide that, we'll go with it. We'll make it work. If you want to advertise the range as 185 to 200,000, and then give yourself the option to lock in at 185 or 200 based on their qualifications. I mean, we can make that work. It's just whenever we start talking about 215 and 220 and it grows, that becomes something that's harder to swallow. But if we're talking about the difference between 185 and 200, we could make either one of those work. And if you want to leave yourself the leeway and advertise it as a range, and that way we have consensus on the board, we can work with that.
Now, and Brian, I want to say this. That's perfect, because if we could say in the range of 200,000, you still have the leeway to, depending if you hire an assistant superintendent or a deputy superintendent that may be ready but hadn't been a superintendent, you have the leeway to say 195 or 185. But
Yeah,
the 200,000 makes it eye-catching for those quality superintendents.
Yep.
Okay, unless we're looking for an assistant superintendent. If we say 185, a sitting superintendent probably not going to look at that unless they're coming from some of the small district out in the, maybe in the country area, which may be, maybe a great candidate. But
yeah, if we advertise it, in the range of 200,000 and just leave it like that, and if that candidate, you can go down to like maybe 195. But if you advertise it on, in the flyer and in the advertisements around the country of 185 to dash 200,000, if you're going for that job, what do you want to be paid? 200,000, and nobody's going to take it at 185. So when you get to that, maybe that great candidate that you want, and you say, nah, we're going to go ahead and do 185, and they say absolutely not, then you have to start the search over. So I would absolutely just go ahead and put that in the range of 200. You can go up 5,000, you can go down 5,000, you can be in that. But I mean, I agree, Brian. We're talking about 15,000 here.
Okay, Brian, now you presented this initially to us for 185. Now, without any distractions so that the board members can understand, then you tell us it's not, that won't bother us another $15,000. What you saying that we need to understand, because we were going with what you initially presented to us. Now I will have to go back and ask the board, because they need their input. Does that sound reasonable to them? And Mr. Steele had some key questions. Ms. Campbell, she had already decided that, and also Ms. Huggins had a lot of questions. So Mr. Steele did have on the table a motion, okay? But the motion has not been carried because it came in for questioning, and then with the different salaries presented, because we'd had two so far, 2 for 185 and 2 for 200. So what we will need to do is we're gonna have to just do what we have to do. Now, Brian, what is your final take on this, please, for the board?
You're muted, Brian.
You're muted. Brian, you're muted.
Sorry, you can hear me better if I unmute. So my initial recommendation was just based on the historical expenses that we've had with superintendents, and then knowing that our revenue is declining. But I don't want 15,000 to be a hanging point here. So I'm sort of adjusting as I'm hearing some of the board members, you all discuss this. I'm just saying, let's not let 15,000 make or break the superintendent search. So if you need to go up to 200,000, I can live with that. If you want to keep it at 185, I can live with that as well. It's your decision as the board. I'm okay with 175 up to 200. I just don't want us to get up, and I understand, I hear what is being said about our surrounding districts, but we're due to our declining enrollment, we're no longer in the top 10 largest school districts in the state. We're number 11. And so our revenue's declining. We don't have the desegregation funding that we once had. We just need to be cognizant of that. But $15,000 will not break us. So I can work with that. If you all find common ground at 200, that's fine. If you find common ground at 185, that's fine.
And Brian, I would like, and to the school board, I would like to redo our recommendation. If 200,000 is what the board's pleasure is, we could work with that. And I think the decline in enrollment with the right leader, you'll get those kids back. You'll get that ADA back. But I mean, that is part of what we're saying to you. We've got to have a salary that superintendent that's sitting somewhere, that's ready to move, that would accept and come to the district. Once you get that leader in place that makes the difference, you'll be fine. And our recommendation now is the 200,000 instead of the 215, if that's what the board can pay.
Okay, at the board, I'll go back to you, Ms. Campbell.
Ma'am,
Huh?
I don't have any problem with the 185 to 200,000.
Okay. Thank you. You take a record, Ms.
Okay.
I'm calling the roll. Ms. Huggins,
I'm good with us saying in the range of 200,000.
200? Okay. Okay, Mrs. Steele?
Yeah, I know the price tag is going up, but there's too many concerns that have been already stated with declining enrollment, a very, very uncertain future financially for our district. So I can't go above the 185.
Okay, you got that? Okay, Ms. Temple?
200,000.
Okay.
She hadn't got it.
Ms. Walkham?
I don't
Ms.
know.
Walkham?
I know. I'm having a nervous breakdown over here. Okay, 200,000. Keep it an even, clean number.
Okay.
Brian, if our lights go out, I'm coming to you. You hear me?
Okay, so you said 200, right?
I'm going to 200.
Okay.
And then I'm going to go
Hear you, Miss
put Brian
Walker.
in the corner.
Okay. Dorothy Williams, with the clarity that you said what you said, Brian, because we do want somebody to come in, and I'm gonna keep you accountability is right
Yes.
now what the board and the administration needs, okay?
Yep.
Accountability. And so since you said it, I'm gonna go with the 200,000 to make sure that we get somebody in here that's not just coming in for a salary, but qualified. And then too, I think board members, that would compensate for anyone that has a doctoral degree
Yes,
that's coming in.
yes,
Because if you were, doctors look for more money.
yes.
And with that thought in mind, that's why I voted the way I did. And so at this time, I need to put a motion, please.
Madam
Nope.
President,
Hold it, excuse me. We had two. It was Mr. Steele's 185, and we're gonna do everything decent and in order, okay?
Madam President,
Yes,
I could withdraw my motion. It looks like the other motion is going to carry. I'll withdraw my motion and just vote on the next motion.
okay, with Mr. Steele, and that you'd initially made the motion previously and you withdrawn it, would you go ahead and make the motion for that 200,000 for us, please?
Madam President, I'm sorry, I can't make that motion because I'm not going to vote for it. You don't have to vote on the 185.
Okay.
All due respect.
Could I have very good thought? We're so truthful and honest this evening.
I have to be.
May I have a motion from one of the board members, please?
Madam President,
Yes.
I'd like to make a motion to enter into a range of 200,000 for the next superintendent for Ray and Associates for the search.
Okay. Ms. Campbell, I need a second.
Second.
Okay, then. Ms. Campbell, roll call.
No,
No?
no.
Ms. Huggins?
Yes.
They'll pass it. but
Okay, Mr. Steele?
No.
Okay, Ms. Temple?
Yes.
Natalie Walkham?
Yes.
Dorothy Williams? I'll do it, yes, so we can move forward. Okay, the motion has been carried. So we will be, Dr. Davis and Mr. Ray, the amount of money that we will be seeking for a superintendent will be $200,000. And then you say that is negotiable?
It's in the range. We say it's in the range, depending on the candidate, the qualifications, and all the other factors that y'all may, want in the candidate.
It's between $85,000 and $200,000.
Yeah, but we can't put that on the flyer.
I know.
But yes, you have the flexibility. You may hire assistant superintendent. That's really good, and you wouldn't want to pay them $120,000, even with a doctorate, because they have never been a superintendent. But you may find a superintendent somewhere, or we may find a superintendent someplace that has the experience and a doctorate, and you may say, okay, we're going to offer them the $200,000 plus the benefit. You have some flexibility in your negotiation when we say that. And the better candidates will look at the $200,000 and say with 8,000 students and in a good community like that, they're going to be interested in you guys. So it means a lot. And I know it wasn't easy, but I want to thank you, board members, for working through this process and giving us what we need to be able to get out and find those candidates that we can put before you. And hopefully and prayerfully, you'll pick one of the best ones. And that's what we're trying to do, is bring you a whole group of good ones and best ones. So your decision will be tough.
Okay, now, since
Excuse me.
the motion was carried, Dr. Davis, for that. Okay. So what is your next item that you have to present to us?
May I ask a question?
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so are you saying that the cap on it is 200,000? I just keep hearing a range.
Well, I'd say
the way that we go ahead and word it is in the range. The base salary will be in the range of $200,000, and then it also includes an excellent, comprehensive, benefits package. But you as a board, if you get to that candidate that you want, you can go up to 205 if they're a rock star. You can go down to 195 if you feel that they're an assistant and never sat in that big chair before. But I just encourage you, once you find that one candidate, don't go in to that last interview and say, hey, we're going to give you $170,000. So you just gotta maintain that you're going to be in and around 200.
Right.
Okay. Question. That was number 6. You said for the salary. Is that the last item you wanted to discuss? Mrs. Steele. Mrs. Steele.
Yes, ma'am.
You came in late because of that. But we had a consultant ranking sheet that there were recommendations that they made, but they were giving the board an opportunity to look at it before they send the flyer out in the morning, that if you saw anything on here that you would like to have included in the recommendations for the new superintendent. That was the only thing that you missed.
No, ma'am. And I knew when I was going to be late with work, I did talk with Dr. Davis before the meeting earlier, and I'm fine with the questionnaire and the flyer.
I was just giving you an opportunity, okay?
Yes, ma'am. I appreciate that, but I did. Me and Dr. Davis talked, and we're going to talk again in the morning.
And if he has anything that he wants to add before we print this out, if it's okay with the board, I guess he can recommend it, and I'll get in touch with you if it's anything.
Right, it's fine. Every board member has an opportunity to make any recommendations that they have. We're a board of 7.
Yeah, we're gonna talk tomorrow.
All right. Okay, do you have anything else to give us?
No, ma'am. That is all that we have for tonight. What you all have done tonight, what we've done tonight, just to recap. We've talked about some of the things that came up from the various meetings and the qualities that survey. We shared that, and we explained how the process works. We've got those 12 recommendations. I think it's 12. We're going to put those on the brochure tomorrow. And after that, we're going to send it out, and we won't meet again until, we won't have another meeting until the August the 3rd.
August,
That's when we will come back, and we will work with the board on trying to help you all with some questions that you may want to create and ask the candidates. Now, one other thing that I need to clarify here: are we going to do a total online, virtual, total search, or is there some idea somewhere down the line that the board want to bring in the candidates in? We could do everything that we do online, and including if you all want the candidates to meet the community through through Zoom.
That's a part of it, that the community has to see them, and then we as a board, we also.
Yes.
So it's an open.
Do you want that virtually, or do you want that face-to-face?
Or do you want to wait right now and see how things go with COVID? I think you should wait and see how things go, and then you can make that decision later on down the road, because
Because you said you'd bring in 5 or something when you initially talked to us.
Right, yeah.
And so I don't see that's an issue with the board.
We're going to have a work session that maybe we'll bring in 10 candidates, and then you will have the opportunity to cut it down to a reasonable number. And at that particular time, if you want to bring in, I know that Mr. Steele had some question last time about the 3,000 extra for hotel and all those things. And I know there was some conversation said that maybe we won't do that. We'll do everything online and save the 3,000. So, I mean, that is why I'm trying to bring that up. And like I said, we can do that later, but we need to know somewhere down the line what to expect so that we can tell the candidates.
Okay, but you said later, not now. I heard Mr. Ray say
is that okay? Yeah.
Okay. Board members, I certainly appreciate you, how we've come together this evening to talk and to be open about our feelings. And again, we want to thank the community for their input. It was awesome. And if you read it, everything was very good. And I appreciate them. The board appreciates you stakeholders from the bottom of our hearts for your input. And as we said before, without you, we're nothing, but we're trying to do better and make North Rock as great as we possibly can. And thank you. And if there's nothing else by any board members, the meeting is officially over. Oh, we have one announcement that, what is it? Make the announcement, please. Ms. Colquitt has an announcement for board members. The what? Okay. Ms. Colquitt has something else, board member. Oh, I'm sorry, Dr. McGee, I'm about to close the meeting and we have something else on the agenda. Okay, I apologize. Dr. McGee, it is now open for you.
If it's okay, we're gonna leave. More questions for us?
No.
Thank you.
All right, if y'all need us or you need me, you got my phone number, please give me a call. Don't hesitate. Okay?
Thank you, board. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, at this time, Dr. McGee will come with the professional assistance for the high school and elementary school. Dr. McGee.
Good, thank you. Good evening, Madam President and members of the board. I'm coming on behalf of our secondary school and several of our elementary school campus as they are looking to continue their work with Arkansas Leadership Academy. They actually participated in this academy last year. They kind of went in and we're bringing it before the board to, they're going to use their Title I funding to continue to work with them. You have your package here. We're just asking that the board would approve of it. Each of these is 2 separate contracts that is grouped in 3 schools, both a total at $42,000 each. So you're talking about 6 schools that are collaborating and working together and using their Title I funding to continue to work with Arkansas Leadership Academy regarding the performance coach. So we're just asking that the board will go ahead and approve of these schools so that they can continue working with Arkansas Leadership Academy with this contract. And again, the funding source is Title I funding.
Okay, board members, this is for the high school is North Rock High School, North Rock Center of Excellence, and the North Rock Middle School 7th and 8th grade. They're hereinafter referred to as North Rock School District. And we will need to vote on the high school to make them separate, Dr. McGee.
Yeah, that's two separate. That is one. The one with the high school, the COE, and the middle school, 7th to 8th grade campus. Then you have another one with the 6th grade, Boone Park Elementary, and Ridge Road Elementary School.
Okay. May I have a motion from the board members, please, to accept the recommendation from Dr. McGee to continue with the Board of Trustees of the University of Arkansas acting for and on behalf of the Arkansas University at Fayetteville campus on Maple Street in Fayetteville, that this is referred to as the university. May I have a motion, please?
I have one question, if you don't mind.
Yes.
You stated it was Title I funds, correct?
That is
And
correct.
it's coming directly off the top, I'm assuming, or is it coming from individual schools' Title I funds? Is it coming out of the pot of everyone, or is it coming from individual, is what my question is.
Individual schools.
Okay, so the North Little Rock Middle School 6th grade campus is taking their Title I funds and they're going to invest their money into this Leadership Academy.
Yes.
Same with Boone Park and Ridge Road. Okay,
Yes,
just
sir.
wanted clarification. Thank you. Madam President,
Yes.
I'd like to make a motion to accept Exhibit 1 for the Arkansas Leadership Academy Organizational Development Budget for 2020-2021 for the North Little Rock School District, North Little Rock Middle School 6th grade, Boone Park, and Ridge Road Elementary.
Second. Do we have a second? Board members, do we have a second?
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and properly second that we accept the recommendation for Dr. McGee for the negotiation with the University of Arkansas in Fayetteville, being known as the university for our schools. Those in favor say aye.
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 Do we have anyone opposed? If not, the motion is carried. We have a board workshop July 2nd at 5:30. And if you receive the Arkansas School Board Association having a virtual training on that same evening, so please, it's from 5:30 to 7:30, so please do not accept to go to it because you will need to be at this meeting, okay?
President, before we close out, I want to make sure on that motion that it was two different contracts. I didn't hear the other contract for the high school, the COE, and the middle school.
I'm coming, I promise, I got you. I'm whispering over here myself. Madam President,
Yes.
I'd like to make an additional motion for the Arkansas Leadership Academy. This one to include the North Little Rock High School, North Little Rock Center of Excellence, and the North Little Rock Middle School 7th and 8th grade campus to the total of $42,097 coming out of Title I funds.
Second, do you have a second?
Second.
It's been moved and properly second by Ms. Huggins and Ms. Campbell. Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay,
Aye.
so the motion is carried. Board members, if there is nothing else, do you have any comments about anything?
Miss
Stay
Williams,
safe. Yes, Ms. Campbell?
be sure Rhonda gets, run some of those papers off that she sent us the other day, because I didn't get a hard copy.
You know which one, Rhonda? Ms. Colquitt? Huh? Which papers she say, Ms. Campbell?
All 43 pages
Of
of the one
tonight.
that came across the computer.
She said, okay, Ms. Campbell, she'll get that to you.
Tell her I appreciate it.
She appreciates you. Okay,
Madam
Uh,
President,
yes,
motion to adjourn.
yes.
Second.
It has been moved and properly second that we adjourn. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
And
Aye.
thank you very much and stay safe, everybody. Okay.